and welcome back to another F4F launch stream with me, Monmon. And today we are unveiling the newest Crash and Kart resin statue from our Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled lineup. We released a Crash Winner resin, and this time we wanted to do something different. With Crash and Kart, our team got to use all the new techniques and experiences they've gathered the first time around. And I think they've crossed the finish line with flying colors. So without further ado, let's reveal him. This is our Crash and Kart resin statue. We put it on a turntable so we can show you all the angles. First off the bat, Crash's pose is very dynamic this time as it shows off our team's skill in sculpting an animated statue. The instant we have captured and replicated here is the jumping animation that players will see when they hit the boost button while jumping. This is how players will see Crash's animation. He is on the classic Kart, right leg on the seat of the cart, and his left leg raised. I can't raise that high because he supposedly just landed in this instant at the very moment he crosses the finish line. Both his hands are firmly gripping the steering wheel. Safety first, kids. Now, having taken into account that the pose chosen is to capture a snapshot of the jumping animation in the game, our team has wonderfully replicated Crash's momentum in that instant. Our team replicated how Crash's mouth is open and how his tongue looks like it's just wagging in the air mid-jump. His ears are also sculpted to look like they've been pushed back by the force. And they are of course not identical so as to increase the realistic aspect of this statue. The texture of Crash is of course nothing short of what our team has presented in the past. We've included a texture that imitates fur and covered Crash in it, varying in density and size so as to create more realistic coverage. His signature hair and bushy eyebrows have a streamlined sculpt to emulate the way hair flows. The colors used for Crash are the iconic orange for his fur and brown for his brows and nose. Thanks to our team's experience with Crash Winner, that part was pretty simple. The blend from the fur to his mouth is really smooth and it helps to create definition without coming off too harsh. The teeth in his mouth though were sculpted with sharp definition in mind. That's why you can see each tooth has been sculpted to look separate from each other. Now, as minute as it is, it does make a difference visually. Let's move on to his outfit. Crash is wearing his signature pair of blue pants, red sneakers, and brown fingerless gloves. His pants are mildly textured to distinguish it from the rest of Crash. The pockets and seams have been sculpted to look raised, so there's more dimension. The natural wrinkles on the folds at the legs of his pants are emphasized with a darker blue to imitate the natural shadows. Now the sneakers have more added texture that varies in size and density. Now as you can see, the surface of the sneakers are segmented into different parts and each part varies in its textural design. So in some areas of the sneakers, you'd see that the texture is more tightly packed, and in other areas, the texture will be more quote-unquote sparse, so as to speak. You can see that our team replicated the look of real sneakers by imitating the net-like look of the materials often used for sneakers. Now the bottom of the sneaker on the left side also has a hexagonal patterned texture to emulate the bottom sole of real sneakers. The laces and eyelets have also been sculpted to look three-dimensional, so the sneakers look even more realistic. Our team also added a little white bit at the top of the sneakers to imitate the look of his socks sticking out. The last part of Crash's outfit are his fingerless gloves. The gloves have been sculpted to look realistic by adding texture and colors that imitate real leather material. The texture is reminiscent of classic slightly worn leather, meaning you can not only see the grooves and bumps, but feel them as well. The look of leather material is further enhanced by using different shades of brown, a lighter brown for the base and a darker brown for the shadows, to imitate the used look of leather material. Now the strap on his wrist is sculpted to look, well, okay, you know how those Velcro straps, well, sometimes when the provided strap is too long, you'd pull the strap past the Velcro and only like half sticks out. So the strap would be more tightly fastened, and that is exactly the look that we are trying to imitate here. So we've gone through the Crash part of the statue. Now let's move on to the rest of the features, starting with his cart. Now there are quite a few parts, so bear with me. Crash here has chosen the classic Kart, which is blue with a gold-colored frame. The blue and gold colors chosen have a sheen to imitate the look of metal material. Now the frame of the cart not only imitates metal bars by color, but the sculpt also replicates the look of bent metal accurately. The little lines and grooves are also sculpted to look 3D, so visually the frame of the cart looks less flat. Now the blue parts of the cart have also been sculpted to look more dynamic visually. So our team included the grooves as well as the slanted facets in the sculpt design. Now at the front of the cart, there's a small silver shield-like logo right underneath the gold detail. And on the sides of this logo, it's sculpted to dip in so as to create a frame for the logo visually. Now at the back of the cart, the blue is still there, but our team replicated the look of heavy-duty machinery right here. Now what type of engine is it, you ask? Well, I don't know, I'm not a car mechanic, but thanks to our team, by the looks of it, it seems to pack a lot of horsepower. Now the body of the engine has details such as the knob here on top and the vent-like lines on the sides of it, which have been sculpted so the engine looks more genuine. The mufflers on either side of the engine have been paired with exaggerated muffler tips to emulate the look of the cart in the video game. Now the mufflers and most of the engine has been painted with silver to of course imitate the look of metal. Now the tips are larger and have been sculpted to seem like they are separate pieces that have been attached to the mufflers. The flames that come out of the muffler tips imitate just how it looked if Crash landed from jumping. Almost as if the flames exploded outwards just as Crash hit boost and landed. Now the sculpt is reminiscent of how real flames would look, and by using orange and yellow, it helps to add definition to the sculpt, making them look even more genuine, and it makes the engine look super powerful. More features added to really give the feeling of speed and momentum. The wheels also got little details that help to tell that story. Now first of all, the sculpt of the wheels imitate the look of real wheels, so those distinct grooves and ridges are all there. Now the middle of the wheels have a silver attachment with a black rivet, and on the sides of the wheels we see the word Crash Team Racing. I know what you're saying, I can't read it for the life of me, and you are right. Our team added this visual effect on the words to give the blurred looks as if the wheels are still moving. Now it's such a cool effect that aids in the storytelling of the statue. Now the placement of the wheels are also meant to replicate the look of the cart landing after jumping. And behind each wheel, our team included the sparks caused by friction to further emphasize the speed and impact of the wheels on the floor, or in this case, our base. Now the way that the sparks are sculpted, we can see the direction it is imitating. The combination of all these small tiny details create the visual story that this cart has jumped, boosted, and landed. Now to pair with such a heavy-duty detailed statue is a base inspired by Crash Cove, the first racetrack that players will encounter in the video game, Crash Team Racing Nitro-Fueled. Now the base is shaped like a ramp with the finishing line right in front of the cart and has been textured to look rough like real rocks. Now the finishing line has been added right at the bottom of the ramp, so it feels as if Crash is racing and about to cross the finish line. Now the finishing line is a set of 8 squares which are colored brown to emulate the look of rocks. And a creamy white has been added to 4 of them in a manner that looks as if someone slapped on the paint to make an impromptu finishing line. Now paired with the momentum-inspired sculpt of Crash and the cart, Crash Racing statue wonderfully represents the moment right before players win. Our team added some green in some of the crevices in the brick texture to imitate the look of moss, so as to make it look more genuine. So, for the standard edition of Crash in Kart, you will get all these wonderful details. But if you're in the mood to go one step further, look no further than our exclusive edition, which will have all the details the standard edition has to offer and is going to light up your collection. Before I show you, let's quickly watch a recap of the features in the standard edition of Crash in Kart Resin Statue. And we are back! Next to me is the exclusive edition of Crashing Kart resin statue. This edition has all the details in the standard edition, and in addition, we've included two LED modes, static and animated. When we turn it on in static mode, the flames coming out of the muffler will light up. And considering the material is a tad translucent, it will look even more flame-like. And when we turn it on in animated mode, the lights and the flames will be animated to imitate the look of real flames coming out of the mufflers. And just like the other exclusive editions our team has designed, this one will give collectors such as yourself options on how to display Crash. So whether you want it lit or static, or you want it animated for storytelling, you can have options with our exclusive edition. So with that, let's do a quick recap of all the features in the exclusive editions of Crash and Kart resin statue. Let's go! And we are back! Great recap, guys! The added LED features in the exclusive edition really brings Crash's character to life. But Crash's video game has more than just his character. It also has awesome in-game features. So, our team decided to include a definitive edition to the lineup. F4F presents our Crash and Kart resin statue, the definitive edition! Well, visually, it already looks very different from the standard and exclusive versions. This definitive version really captures the absolute bedlam that can occur in a Crash Team Racing race. Now we have the Warp Orb, the Rocket, and multiple explosions. Now the one that stands out first to me is the Warp Orb. Now the Warp Orb is an item players can use to deal damage to whoever's in first place, and if charged up, players can even deal damage to the opponents in front of them. Now here, our team has chosen a bright blue as the orb's main color, and the static has been sculpted and painted with a lighter blue to imitate electrical static. Now I really like how the Warp Orb is just about to get crashed, but he manages to avoid getting hit as he just touches the finish line. Now if the Warp Orb was just a split second earlier, Crash would have been toast. Another feature our team has added from the video game is the missile on Crash's right-hand side. Missiles are used as weapons while racing and are used to target the nearest opponent. Only part of the missile is visible as the front of it is covered by the explosive effect. Now the missile has the distinct green wings and silver body that players will recognize from the video game. Parts of the wings at the front are popping up from the explosive effect, so it makes it seem as if it's sticking out from the cloud of smoke. Furthermore, the explosive effect has been painted with orange in the center of the most puffed up parts and yellow on the edges to further enhance the smoke's cloud structure. If you look closer, the race cart is slightly lifted in the corner with a smoke cloud structure so as to represent how it bounces off the ground due to the explosion, which is different from our standard and exclusive editions. Now there are also yellow spikes that have been sculpted in as well as to emulate the look of sparks from the impact. And finally, at the end of the missile is a flame sculpt that has been sculpted to look as if it has swooped in from the left side. The streamlined sculpt helps to further emphasize that trajectory and it makes the statue look even more visually dynamic. To further enhance the story, our team has included two LED functions, static and animated. Now when you put it on static mode, the orb, the explosive effect, the flames from the mufflers and the missile will light up. And when you put it on animated mode, the lights will have a flashing effect so we can better represent the instant that Crash comes crashing into the finishing line with an orb and missile after him. Now there's so much going on, so it's really exciting. But you know what's more exciting? Watching a recap of all the features in the definitive edition of Crash and Kart resin statue. Let's go! We are back and alongside the definitive edition of Crash in Kart resin statue, as well as our previously released Crash winner resin statue. Now for those of you who already have him at home, you can see how they look side by side. And it's like watching a story unfold, a story that goes from Crash crashing through the finish line to Crash holding the winner's trophy. Now we get to see the whole journey that many players would be familiar with. And our team is always innovating and trying to find new ways to incorporate not only the features from the game itself, but also the players' common experiences. Now let's move on to the pricing. This is the price for the standard edition of Crash in Kart resin statue, which will be available for pre-order at your local retailer and on our website, first4figures.com. This is the price for the exclusive edition of Crash in Kart resin statue, which will be available for pre-order only on our website, first4figures.com. The exclusive edition will include 2 LED functions, static and animated. This is the price for the definitive edition of Crash in Kart resin statue, which will be available for pre-order only on our website, first4figures.com. The definitive edition will include 2 LED functions, static and animated, as well as added features which includes the warp orb, missile, and explosive effects. So, to recap, these are the prices for all editions. All prices indicated here exclude local taxes and shipping. So for example, the EU, UK, and Australia regions, prices will look different on our website, as they are already inclusive of sales tax. We are running an early bird offer till this day, so be sure to place your orders quickly within that time frame to take advantage of this limited time offer. For website pre-orders, we offer payment plans with extra fees for those who wish to purchase in installments. We also have warehouses in the following locations, which means no import fees for these regions. Shipping costs to your country are estimated at checkout time. The final cost will be shown on the invoice, which will be sent to your registered email when your order is ready to ship. Thank you for joining us today as we unveiled the Crash in Kart resin statue. Stay tuned and follow our social media channels so you don't miss any future F4F news or sneak peeks. We also have an amazing community on Facebook called the First 4 Figures Official Collectors Club, where we chat with our members, run polls, post behind-the-scenes content, giveaways, and much more. So remember to check us out. Okay, pre-orders are now open. Links are in the description. And that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us today. F4F is love, F4F is life, and we shall see you in the next one. Bye!